11 cents. We're down to Finance Director's report. We're glad to have Sue back. Glad that she was able to get prepared so well.
Thank you. I was hoping I was going to get out of it. We're looking at March. The revenue for March of 26, $1,622,386, or 10.8% of the budget, as compared to a year prior of $1,449,023, or 9.3% of the budget, which is an increase of $173,363. Lines that were over $25,000 compared to the prior year. 101,840,554 state grant and 101,840,675 contributions and donations, both down 40 and 42,000, and those related to the dog park grant we had last year that we don't have the funding coming in this year. We're finishing it up. Another one that was not 25,000 but is somewhat of an interest is that marijuana tax that we get based on the facilities. That is down 21,000. I think we talked a little bit about that and the saturation that might be happening with that. So just an FYI on that. Expenditures March of 26, $3,600,804, or 18.98% of the budget, as compared to a year prior, $3,400,523, or 17.96% of the budget, which is up a little over $200,000 compared to the prior year. The departments that are up over $25,000, 202 Finance up $31,000, and this relates to the contractual services for the audit that you guys were so generously letting me do. It's taking from a vacant position, so it's just a shift in our, but that position has not been filled for a couple of years. Department 267, major equipment, building improvement, that's up $43,000. Mainly the timing of fuel purchase and then security upgrades for the front door in this year. Department 301, Sheriff, is up $224,000. Payroll's up about $56,000, and partly due to the change in the agreements, union agreements for the payouts for comp time and sick time. New equipment is up $102,000 for approved taser, body cams, and vests, and there was a $54,000 new vehicle in there. Corrections is up $35,000. Wages are up about $16,000, and food was up about $16,000, but that was related to timing, so that will hopefully clear in the next month. Department 600, Health Department, that's down $70,000. We have not done an appropriation to them yet this year. I've been trying to contact them for their worksheet that they provide every year, and I am not getting a response from them, so I'll keep working on that. Department 728, Economic Development, is down $59,000, and that's the timing of the NLEA payment that was made in April of this year compared to March in the year before. And 902 appropriations are down $44,000, and that has to do with MIDC transfer timing. We moved all of it in the October through December of this year, and last year we had part of it that was still coming out in this quarter, so that's primarily the reason on that. The second report, cash summary by fund. Total funds for March of 26, $33,852,654, as compared to a year prior, $33,671,698, or increase of $180,956. General fund March of 26, $11,433,441, as compared to a year prior, $11,067,869, or an increase of $365,571. And the third report that I only give you on a quarterly basis is our quarterly fund balance. The beginning balance is unaudited because audit isn't finalized yet. I believe these numbers are pretty good. I haven't gotten any adjusting entries from them. And then the year-to-date fund balance, general county is at $12,321,293. That's total fund balance. We did commit some of that for capital projects, so that's not like totally unrestricted, but that is the total fund balance. Total for all funds, $34,047,844. Any questions? Oh, and the auditors spent the last 2 weeks on site, the last 2 weeks, so coming back in the office has been quite a challenge. So I'm kind of a little relieved they're not here today. But they'll still be reaching out by email.
You can just sit and listen to people argue. Oh, I'm sorry, disagree.
Mr. Chairman, I would
Yes.
move to accept the finance director's report.
Receive and file.
Receive and file.
Support. Thank you, Rich, support. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Eustace?
Yes.
Commissioner Claremont?
Yes.
Commissioner Wallace?
Yes.
Commissioner Newman?
Yes.
Commissioner Sangster?
Yes.
Commissioner Warden?
Yes.
Thank you, that's carried 6-0 and 1 absent. Administrators report. Mr. Administrator, you've been quiet all morning.
Yep, right all morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Update from the emergency management, update from the Cheboygan Dam. The last information we received is that the water is below about 24 inches now, so it's more approaching more normal level. They're making plans to place some of the gates back onto the facility here within the next week or so, and then to also remove some of the pumps that are in operation. So, Sheriff, I didn't know if you had any other update from this morning on that?
No, sir. The most of the pumps, the bigger pumps, have been demobilized. We had training yesterday at the office from the state of Michigan, Lieutenant Castro, for damage assessment. The team started yesterday. It was their first day out in the field doing that. They continue the rest of this week for certain, and then as needed. That's really about it.
So the way we understand damage assessment, there's two different layers to that. One under public assistance, which would be public property. So the most effective here would be the road commission, going through their assets, reviewing the damage, submitting that information to the state of Michigan. The second would be follow-up of individual damage assessment. So we encourage everyone again to go online at the county's website, cheboygancounty.net. There's a link there to go in and self-report if you have damage in your property. Once that base assessment's done, there will also be teams, as the sheriff stated, going out in the field. There'll be representatives of the county, the state, and hopefully at some point in time we'll have FEMA representation here, aggregating all the damage, both private and individuals into the county. That information is submitted to the state of Michigan, and the state will then submit that to FEMA for review. And we're hopeful at that point we can see some assistance come through.
Yeah, for public property, I don't see anybody from the road commission here today, but their numbers are pretty staggering. The amount of damage that they sustained. Luckily, we didn't have any asphalt washout like they had in other counties. I guess that would be quite a bit more expensive to have that happen, but a lot of damage to roadways, gravel shoulders, all that kind of stuff. So.
Very, very important to reinforce anyone that had damage to do that reporting, so we can send that into the state with those numbers. Very important to get to FEMA. And then also across the state, the same kind of process is happening in different communities that saw flooding also. So we'll keep moving forward with that process. We did pass out to the board of commissioners today information we received from FERC and the dam owner from Tower, Cleveland, and Alverno Dam. Information is being provided by the owner to FERC on operation during the incident. We're waiting for information to come more specific from the Cheboygan Dam here related to the hydro plant. So as we get that information, we'll pass that along, or if anyone from the public needs help accessing that, we can help people find that. FERC has the site that's available. We put in the information for the facility. We'll bring up information related to each of those facilities. A couple other updates. County did also receive communication from Northern Water Solar. This is communication that they are starting the process to go to the state Michigan Public Service Commission for review of the project. The first step in the process is for the developer to notify the county, which they have done. We have replied that we have a moratorium at this point in time. We're requesting that a meeting be set up with the chair to go over first review of the project. After that, the developer has to call a public meeting, at least one public meeting. It'll be hosted by the developer. The county will plan to attend that meeting also and give information based on what the county's review has been on the project moving forward. We'll also request intervenor funds. I'll ask City Council to give a quick summary of what intervenor funds are.
Yeah, under Public Act 233, if a developer is going to go to the Michigan Public Service Commission, they must give intervention funds to the municipality. In this case, there's two affected local units, both the county and the township. Total max that it's available is $150,000, but it could be split $75,000 each in order to allow you to intervene in the case at the Michigan Public Service Commission. So should the county choose to do so, you will get awarded intervention funds. You can hire counsel to represent the county and its interests at the Michigan Public Service Commission through the process.
Any questions from the board on that before we move on?
Just for clarification on that, that's the next step then as far as an appeal, correct?
So that everyone understands, the county is fully out of the case. Judge Gothier has dismissed all, he reversed the decision on the grant of the approval of the project, and all the other 9 counts against the county have been dismissed, so we are out. The developer is pursuing this or deciding whether to pursue to the Michigan Court of Appeals. At the same time, they are starting the Michigan Public Service Commission process, which, as you know, you've heard me say before, is lengthy, time-consuming, costly. So they may be pursuing this project on 2 parallel tracks, if that makes sense.
Well, it's a good question. Why do that? Why appeal it? Two different corrections.
Well, I can't really speak for them. A decision came out of the Court of Appeals this week regarding the challenge to the Michigan Public Service Commission order. It was affirmed in part, reversed in part. The part about what a CREO is was reversed. And so essentially, they upheld what the Michigan Public Service Commission said, which was a very strict interpretation of what a CREO is, which is what your ordinance here was, a very strict interpretation limited to 5 things. So that changes the landscape a little bit of what the Court of Appeals may decide. Also, because the process at the Michigan Public Service Commission is so lengthy and time-consuming, they will spend a lot more money to present all the evidence required for the Michigan Public Service Commission than they would have done here. It's a much more thorough review, it's much more labor-intensive, a lot more reports are required. So I'm sure, I can't speak for the company, but they're probably trying to see which option is, best for them, if that's a fair statement.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question,
Steve.
if I may. Madam Counsel, you're saying that they have yet to file an appeal within the court. Would there not have been a timeline, a date certain to which they have to file an appeal? Is this hanging abeyance forever, or was there a date certain, or is there a date certain?
There is a date certain. They do have to file within a certain period of time. What they're appealing is a decision of the circuit court, so it is not necessarily an appeal by right, all right? So the Court of Appeals may choose not to hear it. They may choose to hear it. All I know is that a transcript was ordered from the lower court decision in front of Judge Gothier. We got notice of that because we were party to the case. A transcript was ordered. Now, whether or not Northern Waters is then going to appeal into Court of Appeals or not, I don't know. And I haven't monitored it since that day. Since we are formally out of the case, we would not necessarily get notice of what they do.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Question if I may,
Yeah.
Sure. So when you mentioned the intervenor funds, if we're out of the case, am I correct that we would not apply for that?
Well, there's two things here that are, this is a very unique situation. You had one of the only pure Creos in the state that I've seen yet, and you approved the project under that scope, okay? Judge Gauthier reversed that decision. So, if you deny a project that's under a Creo for any reason other than, that doesn't meet one of the 5 standards under the Creo, you lose your intervention funds. We did not do that here. The project was approved. So I've already made some initial inquiries just off the record with people at the state about like what's gonna happen to our intervention funds at the Michigan Public Service Commission. And they don't know, because this has never happened before. So it would be our argument that you are eligible for those funds, you approve the project, and it was only through a court decision that the project was reversed. So the intervention funds don't have anything to do with the appeal at the Court of Appeals that Northern Waters may take. The intervention funds are to give you money, the county, and then also Grant Township will also have this opportunity to enter into the Michigan Public Service Commission's review of the project. And you will be given up to $75,000 to hire attorneys, whomever you want, to take the county into the middle of the contested case hearing and present your what you want. I would recommend, I presented at a symposium with a supervisor from Bay Township, which is by Lansing. He has had the first case that is gone in front of the Michigan Public Service Commission. He's done a lot of teaching on what intervention is and how they position themselves. And if we decide to go that way, I would probably connect Administrator Lawson up with that person and allow him to start to figure out how you want to position the county in front of the Michigan Public Service Commission. So there's 2 tracks going on, okay?
So I think at least my constituents in District 5 are totally opposed to this thing. And so are these funds to assist with building it or
No.
keeping it up?
They are to assist you, and here is the county, and also Grant Township would also have the right for these funds. We would have to split that 150 between these 2 different municipalities to go in front of the Michigan Public Service Commission and say, these are our concerns about the project. So you, Michigan Public Service Commission, 3 people, will get to decide whether this project is approved or not, and on what terms, okay? So for instance, at the Michigan Public Service Commission, the developer must present an alternative site for the project. And then they must explain why the site they have chosen is better. They must do an analysis of farmland preservation, which may not apply here, but the natural resources, I've heard here, is a huge concern. They're going to have to explain the impact on natural resources. You would bring forward, as the county, why we are so concerned about the impact on natural resources. So it gives us money to come into the case to say why we do or do not want it, if that makes sense.
Their application would have environmental review information and many other sections in it that we can review and provide comment
Respond.
during the process. So those funds are available to us to identify what our concerns are and respond to their application during
During the process.
And would we use the same law firm or do we go to a different law firm?
You would have the choice, I could talk to you about that. Generally, there's it's a very specialized group of attorneys that appear in front of the Public Service Commission, so whether you want to choose somebody who has that experience, whatever you want to do, at that point, we can discuss what your options are.
And what is, last question, what is the time limit for us to either apply?
Well, once Northern Waters actually applies to the MPSC, and first as Administrator Lawson said, they have given the notice that they plan to do so. They have to meet with Chairman Wallace within a certain, if he says he wants to meet, and he did say that, within a certain number of days. And after that, they have to hold a public meeting in the municipality. So all that's gonna happen, And at that point, moving forward, they're gonna have to give you, and the MPSC decides how much you actually get. The max is $150,000, split between the two municipalities. They will give you the money, and I don't know exactly how that plays out. I don't know if they give you $75,000. Then you choose to hire counsel, whoever you want. And from what we're hearing, which is why I would advise you to talk to the supervisor in Newgate Township. It's a very intensive process. There's a lot of discovery, there's a lot of depositions, there's a lot of interrogatories, and it's a very fast turnover of information. So we're gonna have to really be prepared to move into that phase of how we appear in front of the MPSC.
And the clock starts after the public hearing.
I think so, but I'd have to verify that. Okay, but you'll know. Once they meet with Chairman Wallace, then they're going to schedule that meeting here within the municipality, and then it's going to be. And they, in the letter they sent to the county, it did say we reserve, without saying we won't go forward with our litigation, essentially. So that will be occurring on a parallel track. And I don't know what they would do if they're successful. I can't speak for them. But those two things are going at the same time.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Any questions while we're on it? Okay.
Next update for ice storm vegetative debris processing. Our contractor is in the field right now, completed one site, there's 5 remaining sites. And that's for the debris from the ice storm last year. We expected that project for tipping should be completed in about 4 or 5 weeks here, so. And for sale of vehicles, putting on an online auction, 2020 Jeep Compass, a little over 96,000 miles, 2008 Ford Van, over 100,000 miles, and 2012 Freightliner recycling lift truck with over 240,000 miles on the vehicle.
You finally get that van replaced.
Yeah.
The sheriff's department that finally
Yeah.
got to do one.
Yeah, that's been in service a few months now.
Yes, sir.
Seems to be working well as far as I know, everyone, and retiring the one from many years ago, so.
One question, if I may, Mr. Chair, for Jeff. You said as far as the debris removal, have we heard anything or received anything as far as FEMA funding or reimbursement from that?
That's reimbursement, so we know that we can submit it. I wouldn't call it necessarily the pre-approval, but we've done everything that we're required to do to apply to receive funding back. And we know that Emmett County's received some funding back, so that's good news.
That's generally at the 75%
Yeah.
of the 350 to 2,000.
Yes. Also on quantity, we had estimated amount on the trucking portion, so as we finish the first couple pits there, we'll be able to see if our reduction rate, which was an estimate, is accurate or not. If it's not, then we may have to adjust how much that we're trucking there to make other arrangements. So I may report at a future meeting that our target, the cost per cubic yard does not change, but what we authorize them to truck could change based on our original estimates of what the reduction would be.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the